Which of the following equations would represent the graph of a parabola y equals x squared after reflection over the y-axis, followed by a shift down of 7 units? Well, first of all, we can eliminate this one and this one, because minus 7 means down 7. And then we need a graph that has a reflection in it, and between the two that we have left, this one has a negative inside the parentheses, which means a reflection over the y-axis. Number 2, which of the following equations would represent the graph of the parabola y equals x squared after a reflection over the x-axis, followed by a shift up of 3 units? Well, let's use the same logic that we used last time. Not this one and not this one. Plus 3 means up 3. Plus 3 means up 3. And then we want a reflection over the x-axis. Inside, the negative inside of the function means reflects over the y. Outside means reflects the negative outside, reflects over the x, and that's what the question is asking. Number 3, which of the following equations would represent the graph of a parabola y equals x squared after a reflection over the x-axis, followed by a shift left 1 and up 8? So, by the way, left 1, up 8, that would be our vertex. So when we look at this, remember how, at least Mrs. Danhoff taught you, change the sign, keep the sign. So the vertex of this one would be 1, 8. So it's not this option. Over here, the vertex would be change the sign, keep the sign. So this would be 1, negative 8. Not this one. This one would be, the vertex would be change the sign, keep the sign. Negative 8, negative 1. Not this one. So hopefully down here, change the sign, keep the sign. There it is. And then let's just check. After a reflection over the x-axis, the negative outside of the parentheses means reflecting over the x-axis. Number 4. Which of the following equations represents the graph shown? Let's approach it the same way. Let's look at our vertex here, which is 6, 6, 9. So if we look at the vertex here, change the sign, keep the sign. That one's a possibility. But so is this one. Change the sign, keep the sign. And so definitely not this one, because this would be 9, 6. Change the sign, keep the sign. And change the sign, keep the sign. And again, our vertex is 6, 9, so it's going to have to be one of the first two. And then what we see is that we've taken our graph and we flipped it over. It's reflected over the x-axis, which means that we need A. And then, finally on problem number 5, which of the following equations represents the graph shown? Another alternative here is that you could type these into your calculator and compare pictures. But this first one has a negative in front of it, which means it's going to reflect over the x-axis, and it's not. So that's going to eliminate actually both A and C. Should have started by looking at our vertex here, which is negative 3, positive 1. And if we change the sign, keep the sign, we've got 3, 1 here, and change the sign, keep the sign, we match our vertex right here.